Alright, this is going to be what I would consider a fairly comprehensive review and install procedure for this remote starter. I would guess and say that pretty much any remote starter is going to be the same typical hookup. Probably not going to get the same features for all of them, but this is the Compustar cs800-s one-way, you know, $45 on Amazon. Gets me a remote starter. I have not hooked up the door locks to the key or anything like that yet. Didn't see a video of an install. This is a second gen diesel pickup. I'll share some of my trials and tribulations of the install and whatnot along the way. Okay, so this is kind of what we got here. Comes with this little unit. All these wiring harnesses are going to be bundled up in the box that I just showed you. Basically, it looked pretty intimidating, but there's 1,000 added features to this thing that I don't really care for. Trunk release, about 10 auxiliary inputs and outputs that you can do to really customize it pretty much for any car. It's a universal kit. I do have the hood latch right here. It's a kill switch if somebody opens the hood. It comes with the hardware. It's one wire. Why not hook it up? Anyways, so it comes with, let me get the instructions out. Comes with instructions. They're pretty self-explanatory right here. They're going to show you, let's wait till it focuses. They're going to show you which wires go to what, and they tell you right in the instructions, if you read, the wire must be connected. If it does not say the wire must be connected, then it doesn't need to be connected unless you want to add whatever feature that is. I have electric doors, so you can wire the output for the electric doors. Even though my truck never came with the key fob, I can control the relays for the electric doors if I ever want to with a pair of these wires going to the main controller for both the doors. And I can unlock and lock from my remote. It's just going to send a signal out. That's all it is. Basically, all you're going to really use, you're going to use most of this thick wire harness that comes with this right here on this 8-pin. You're going to use one wire from this giant bundle. I use two if you want to use a hood latch. The other one is this light blue and white. There you go, you kind of see it. That goes to your brake pedal. So if you don't have that hooked up to your brake pedal, this will disarm the remote start when you hit the brake pedal and hold it. It'll say, okay, dude's in the car. Let's go ahead and cut ignition right here. It'll cut power to your ignition. But your key's going to be in, so you're going to have power to your ignition from your key switch. Anyways, so I found out, because I didn't hook that up at first, I found out that if you don't do that, the vehicle will never know that you're no longer needing it to supply power to the vehicle. So it'll try and shut it off after 15 minutes or whatever your timeout is on the vehicle. Also, it won't send a stop signal to your ignition wire. So even if you take the key out, it'll keep the truck running. Other than that, to bare bones get it remote started, literally all you need to do is connect up most of these wires. Like I said, the ones that you have to connect up are in here as must be connected. So the ones you don't is like 2 wires. It's blue wire here, behavior of this wire, something or another, and parking light. You don't have to put the parking lights. I didn't really care for it, but for the Compustar troubleshooting stuff, the lights will blink at you if it detects some kind of fault or code. It'll send out a blinking signal to the light, and you can use that like a code reader for this system to see what it's telling you is not good. I just listen for the clicks. They're pretty audible in here. Yeah, I'll post up I found a wiring diagram online for the key switch for remote start hookups for second gen Dodges. Mine's a 96. Didn't need a bypass because it doesn't have an immobilizer. But yeah, it's nice. I'm in Arizona, so I haven't played with the diesel timer. I don't really need it. Truck starts up bone cold. Coldest it ever gets here is it might touch 30 at night twice a year or something like that. So I did find out though that this is a tackless sensing unit, so it looks for voltage to determine when the vehicle is started. If it doesn't detect the proper voltage, then it will shut the vehicle off. So I was on Compustar's website, and what you do, you take your key when your truck is cold. Okay, you take your key, you turn it to run, and start it. When your voltage, I'm gonna turn these off, that's annoying. When the voltage sits at 12, right? Because your grid heater is still gonna be cycling. It doesn't think that the truck is running. It just thinks it's seeing battery voltage. Even though your truck is running, we know the truck is running because we can hear it. It wants to see 14 volts, okay? So what you have to do with this one, you start your truck up and you hold this cog down on the key fob here. This little cog, that's the remote start button that I was pushing earlier. So you hold that little cog down when your truck is running and at 12 volts. So it can calibrate and say, oh, that's normal. Okay, we'll just keep running then. I don't know how that's gonna do if the truck never starts. Is it gonna restart? I have no idea. Because it's looking now, after you do that, you're telling it that 12 volts is okay. That means we're running. So I don't know after its first attempt, if your truck doesn't start, if it will then retry. You might have to hook up, there's a tack wire in there, you might have to hook it up to the tack and then enable the mode. That's all you have to do. My truck starts up really fast. So yeah, I'll write down the wiring schematic and then post it up. But other than that, I haven't had any problems with it. I'll show you guys a remote start from inside. You're just gonna hold this. You're gonna hear click. There you go. See how it says 12 volts? Because the grid heater's still on. So that grid heater's trying to warm my truck up right now because it's dead cold. It will shut that off because it doesn't think it's running. It wants to see 13, 14. There it goes. Now it's picked up. This just clicked. It just clicked, so it knows that we're running. We're good to go. So it'll keep my truck running. I'll shut it off. So, yeah, what I was experiencing before was I would start the truck, and when it was warm, it just goes straight up to 14 volts. Because the grid heater doesn't stay running. So, it goes right up to 14. That's what this wants to see, because it's mainly set up for gas or stuff. So, with our grid heater staying on or cycling or whatever, that's mainly what you run into. But I found on the Compustar website the procedure I just showed you. Turn the key to on, start the truck, and immediately hold that cog, or what they call it is the key button. It's the remote start button. If you just hold that remote start button, you'll hear this click, or you'll see your lights flash if you have them hooked up, and that means that it's sensed that, and it's determined that that's okay now. You've told it that's okay, and it's just a quick setting that you can do. They don't really go over it that well in the little manual, so I went to their website, and they had a little quick write-up on it on the Compustar website. I found it in about 10 minutes. I didn't know if I hooked something up wrong or something like that. I pretty much determined that I didn't, because my truck was warm when I first hooked it up, and it starts, it runs, I drive it. It's just when it was cold that it would shut down, and I determined that that was probably because this thing wants to see 14 volts coming from the alternator to let it know that it's running. So like I said, you do the little quick learn for the voltage, and the truck will stay running. Other than that, it's pretty much limited only by whatever you want to hook up. There's friggin' 1, 2, here's the harness for the antenna. All you do is plug it in here. I put my antenna there. So yeah, I mean, this is a 1,000-foot range. I use these little quick connects. I know some people might not like them. I think they're really easy. If I have an ignition problem down the road, shit, I know what I did. You know, it's my bad, it's my fault. But it's Arizona. There's really no moisture here, so these are good enough for me right now. Other than that, show you the hood thing where I put it. So there's my little hood disconnect when it's up. I did scratch a little paint off of it, off of the body, so it can get a good ground down there. You can see, kind of, maybe not, I don't know. Sends a little ground signal down here through the cab. Yeah, I mean, it's easy. It took me about an hour to wire up. Our trucks are really easy. It's literally just powers and grounds everywhere. So it's not like we have any pulse width modulation or anything like that. I would imagine the guys that delete the grid heaters are not going to have the issue with the reprogramming for 14 volts. Just for the fact that they're not going to have a grid heater cycling, scabbing a bunch of power from the alternator. Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's pretty much it. Compustar stuff so far has been good to me. This little harness, I don't know what it's for. Didn't really end up using it. If you go to Compustar's website, you can literally, first thing they want you to do is ask a question, because they'll put you in the right direction. This is how the remotes come. There, I didn't have to what do you call it? I didn't have to program the remote to the unit. I think they come pre-programmed. We'll find out right now. Yep. So truck's running. I mean, you just saw me take that out of the box right now. It's the first time I've ever even taken it out of the box. I only have one key, so I use this one. I didn't have to program it or anything either. So that's pretty cool. You don't have to worry about programming anything. Literally, the only, yeah, I can't explain how easy this is. They tell you in there what wire does what. It's up to you to find what they're looking for on there. Like I said, I'll drop the schematic for the key switch so that you guys can get remote started. Once I figure out how to do the doors, I mean, I just haven't even tried it all. I'm imagining it's going to be super simple as well. Haven't cared to try it yet. It's the weekend. I want to drink some beers. I don't want to be working on my truck all weekend. Thought I'd post this up, try and help somebody else out for second gen stuff. Take it with a grain of salt, because I don't know what years this wiring schematic is going to be good for. It might only be 12 valve, it might be all of second gen, I have no idea. But the basic concept is going to be there. I mean, if you don't have a DMM, a multimeter, I should say, then you probably don't need to be doing this, because even though I have the wiring schematic, I still verified during key position what does what with the key on, off, all that stuff. I verified key position and voltage seen and what it does, and you know, when I do go to start, because this thing's going to use all that information to sense when your truck started, when it's running. So that's going to be the main difference of what you get out of this as a remote start. Like I said, I just programmed it and now it's acting fine. I programmed it for the voltage, good to go, because it's meant for a gasser. It's not used to seeing a grid heater scab a bunch of voltage off. So yeah, I'll post up the schematic. If you guys have any questions, yeah, I'll try and answer them the best I can, but I mean, you should be able to hook this up in an hour. It took me about an hour and a half, and that was me trying to find a wiring schematic. So I hope this helps.